I'm sure many of you have heard of jerk chicken, but have you ever heard of jerk brisket? We're gonna be smoking it on my Ninja Flexflame. Stay tuned. All right, so I'm starting with a 14.5 pound USDA choice brisket, and I'm just gonna trim it up a little bit. I'm just gonna take off some of the heavier fat pockets. A little pro tip to remove this fat and silver skin: put your hand under the brisket, lift it up, and glide your knife right under that fat. Look at that, really simple. All right, so I've trimmed up the brisket. Let's season it up. I'm gonna start with a little bit of W sauce as a binder. Do the meat side as well. Now this brisket has some really big gashes right here, but we're just gonna work around that. We'll see what it's like once this is smoked. All right, so it's time to apply our jerk seasoning. This one is from Plowboy's BBQ. It's called the Jerk. It's amazing. I've had it on chicken, but again, I've never had it on brisket. Let's apply enough of the seasoning. Remember, this is a big piece of meat. All right, pat that rub in. I'm also going to be applying a little bit of 16 mesh black pepper. All right, so I'm going to throw this brisket in my fridge overnight. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Stay tuned. All right, so it's the very next morning, and it is a very cold morning, 30 degrees outside. So first things first, I'm going to plug in the Ninja Flexflame. Going to open up our cabinet door, turn on our propane gas. Next step is we need to ignite the pilot to our grill. So push the knob in, turn it to ignite pilot. Once you see that the pilot is lit through your grill, go ahead and release it. We're going to be smoking low and slow. So turn the knob over to low and slow, just like that. I'm going to adjust my temperature to 250 degrees. So the Ninja Flexflame does have 3 burners, but since we are smoking low and slow, the only burner that's on is the middle one, as indicated right here. All right, next step is load up the brisket. Again, everything is ice cold, okay? This took about 30 seconds to light up this grill. So I am going to be making some beef tallow. So I've got the fat in an aluminum pan. That's going to go on the top rack, just like that. So I am smoking this brisket with a fat cap up, and the reason for that is because the temperature is going to be even throughout the entire grill because of that cyclonic fan. So what that cyclonic fan is going to do is it's going to circulate hot air throughout the entire grill, making sure every square inch is at the same temperature. All right, let's close the lid. As you can hear, that fan just turned on. All right, next up, let's load up our pellets. I've got 2 cups of pellets in here, which is going to last about 45 minutes to an hour of smoke. So once the Ninja Flexflame stops smoking, I can just come in here and load another 2 cups and get more smoke. So this entire process took maybe 1 minute, and you can see the grill is almost up to 250 degrees. We're at 237 degrees. So at this point, I'm going to hit the wood fire flavor button. And now the Flexflame will start creating smoke. So because the Ninja Flexflame is a gas-assisted grill, along with that cyclonic air blowing that hot air throughout the entire grill, you do not need to preheat this. We'll check back in about 4 hours. Stay tuned. All right, so the brisket has been smoking for 4 hours. Now at the 2-hour mark, I did start to spritz it with apple cider vinegar and water, mix it 50-50. Let's take a look at it. Holy smokes. All right, so after 4 hours, that's what the brisket looks like right there. Really nice bark. Let's get the internal temperature. No way. 174. 187 on the flat. Really? 180. 188. Wow, that's hard to believe. 4 hours and we are almost ready. Wow, I wasn't expecting this. Now, on a pellet smoker or even an offset smoker, I normally don't wrap the brisket until the 8-hour mark. It's only been 4 hours. All right, so I'm going to spritz it one more time. I'm going to go grab my butcher paper because it is time to wrap this brisket. I cannot believe that. Honestly, I'm speechless, and the only thing that I can think of is that cyclonic fan circulating that hot air throughout the entire grill is cooking this brisket really nice and fast. Now the interesting part is that the heat inside of the smoker is only 250 degrees, so it's not cooking it at a higher temperature, it's just cooking it faster because that heat is circulating throughout the entire grill. I'm impressed. I'll be right back with that butcher paper. All right, so here's our brisket. And again, look at that bark. I am really impressed, and I cannot believe that it's only been 4 hours and we have these results. If I hadn't seen it myself, I wouldn't believe it. So the bottom side of it, it's not overcooked. It's perfect. I mean, I can't explain why it's only been 4 hours. Again, my only thought process is that cyclonic air that's being rotated inside of the smoker is what caused it to cook faster, but I'm gonna go with it. By the way, our tallow was ready in just 2 hours, so I pulled that off and poured it into a jar. Just gonna pour some of this tallow over the brisket, just like this. And by the way, the aroma on this brisket is absolutely amazing. All right, let's wrap up our brisket. As you can see, same exact spot. I'm not gonna change anything. I'm gonna close the door. We'll check back in 1 hour and we'll see what the internal temperature is like. Stay tuned. All right, so the brisket has been cooking for 5.5 hours. Now I did check the brisket at the 5-hour mark and it wasn't quite tender. The temperature was about 199 degrees. Let's check it again 5.5 hours later. All right, so let's check that point. Really nice and tender. We're sitting at 205 degrees, believe it or not, and it is probing like butter. Look at that. Let's check the flat here. That flat is also probing tender. Let's see where we're at. 205 degrees on the flat. This is ready to be pulled. All right, so at this point, I'm just gonna let the brisket rest until it hits 165 degrees. Once it hits 165, I'm gonna place it in my food warmer for 2 hours. I'll bring you guys back when I place this in my food warmer. Stay tuned. All right, so the brisket hit 160 degrees internal. At this point, I'm gonna place it in my food warmer, put it in here for a couple of hours, let that brisket rest. Now I do want to mention the reason why you want to let your brisket come down to 160 degrees is to stop that cooking. That way when you go in to slice it, you can get some really nice slices instead of the brisket falling apart. So again, I'm going to see you guys in 2 hours. Stay tuned. All right, so the brisket is ready, and remember that we did rest it for 3 hours. Let's take a look at it and see how we did. Look at this. Holy smokes. Check out that awesome color. It's hard to believe. Again, I still can't believe that we smoked this brisket in 5.5 hours. So I'm just gonna pour the juices on top of the brisket. Look at that. All right, let's slice into our jerk brisket. Let's get that money shot right around here. Man, it is super tender. Check this out, guys. Remember, this was a choice brisket, not a prime brisket. Hopefully you guys can make out how juicy this brisket is. Check that out. That is a mega juicy brisket. I'm gonna press on it just a little bit so you can see the juices running out. That is absolutely amazing. The surprising thing is that I only used 4 cups of pellets. That's right, 4 cups of pellets. Now I know I've said this before, but this tip of the brisket right here is my favorite part of the brisket. So I'm just gonna move this aside. I'm gonna cut some burnt ends, if you will. Yes, the burnt ends do come from the point, but check that out. All that bark, you cannot deny that. All right, let's get some slices here. Oh man, juicy and tender. That's what I'm talking about right there. All right, let's get some point slices right here. Not surprised, mega juicy as well. I mean, check this out, guys. Is that a good looking brisket or what? When you can make it clap like that, you better believe it's tender. Here's our point. Again, super juicy as well. Let's give this brisket a try. All right, let's give this jerk brisket a try and see how we did. But look at that. Here's my mock burnt end, that tip of the brisket. There we go. That bark is absolutely delicious. Good smoky flavor. I honestly can't believe that I did this in 5.5 hours. All right, let's give that flat a try. Look at that bad boy right there. Nice and juicy. Oh yeah, I'm going in. Last but not least, look at that point right there. There we go. All I can say is wow. I still can't believe that this brisket smoked that fast. 5.5 hours. I know I've said that about 1,000 times, but if I can smoke a brisket that fast on the Ninja Flexflame and have these results over smoking a brisket for 12 hours, I'll do this every day of the week. I gotta be honest, I was a little bit nervous laying that brisket on top of that grate like that with the burner directly under the brisket, but with that cyclonic fan, it circulates the hot air throughout the entire cooking chamber, so you're gonna get even temperatures throughout the entire grill. If you look at the bottom of the brisket, it's not burnt, it's not dark, nothing like that. This brisket cooked evenly. I hope you guys enjoyed this jerk brisket video. If this is your first time to my channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Until next time, Joe with Smokin Joe's Pit BBQ. See ya.